Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back, and today we're going to do One Piece chapter 1079 review. Let's get into it. The title of this chapter, The Red Hair Pirates and Emperor's Crew. Let's start with the cover page. It's just Luffy watering a lion who he thinks is a flower, and looks like it's just the goofy cover stories again, which I love. I miss these cover stories. Now getting to the chapter, we open up with York's contingency plan, and looks like York wasn't as dumb as we all thought. She actually knew that the world government wanted to take her out as well as the rest of the Vegapunks. And something I first want to mention here is that the way she gave the commands to the Seraphim, we didn't actually know that this was possible. So how this works is that York gave them consecutive orders, and the Seraphim were able to process this sequentially. And as we know, once York gave these commands cannot be superseded unless it was by a higher authority level. So within this contingency plan, York had some interesting points. So she wants to keep the Stella body alive as well as the Cypherpole agents. And she also told the Seraphim not to destroy a specific part of the lab. And my guess on what this part of the lab was is either the new Devil Fruit Research Lab or it's the weapons section of the lab. I think she's going to use these pieces in her negotiation to become a Celestial Dragon. And not only this, maybe a way that she would get out of this situation is faking her own death. As we saw in a previous chapter where Atlas was discussing how she can replace any body part whenever she wants. And so maybe York can just go to that organelle lab, gather a bunch of her body parts and kind of just lay them around everywhere, cover them in a little blood, and you know, she looks dead. And moving on to the more juicy part of this chapter, it looks like Blackbeard is coming to Egghead. And so what happened to Law? It looks like he lost his load poneglyph. And so why would Blackbeard end up here at Egghead? It's just like how he pulled up at Amazon Lily or how he pulled up at Marineford. Blackbeard is here to gain some kind of advantage. And so either he's here to kind of steal a Vegapunk or he's trying to look for some other type of weapon. And my best guess is that he's looking for his third Devil Fruit, the mythical Zoan Devil Fruit. So we know that Vegapunk has already recreated Kaido's Devil Fruit. Who's to say that he hasn't created another type of mythical Zoan? But a completely different option here is that maybe it's not Blackbeard himself, maybe it's some portion of Blackbeard's crew. And the first thought that came to mind here was Van Augur and Aokiji. And if we remember back, they were sailing together and they were the ones who kidnapped Pudding. And so if Van Augur and Aokiji were pulling up at Egghead Island, potentially Van Augur could get them inside very easily and they could snag whatever they need and get out very quickly. And my best guess on what they could be looking for is either one of these weapons like I was talking about before, or maybe one of these Vegapunks. And what they could do is potentially use Pudding's ability to extract the memories from Vegapunk even if Vegapunk didn't want to talk. And Pudding's ability works like pulling film out of someone's head, so you could literally watch Vegapunk's memories like a movie. And for the moment we've all been waiting for, Kid is pulling up onto Elbaf and we see the Red Hair Grand Fleet, and it turns out that this Grand Fleet is actually super weak. Shanks is kind of a figure like Whitebeard where he brings people into his Grand Fleet even if they're not the strongest, right? So he's willing to just accept anyone and he's the one that actually does the protecting. So let's just run through these sequence of events. Initially, Shanks gets some information on Kid, starts reading up that he's quite the troublemaker and he's left a ton of carnage in his wake. And just as he learns this information about Kid, Kid is about to use Damned Punk. And in a way that we've never seen before, we actually see what Shanks sees in his future sight. And in this future, Kid destroys all of his Grand Fleet ships and takes out the weaklings on those ships. And it really shows how Shanks is willing to do anything to protect the people that he cares about, just like Luffy. And while this is going on and Shanks is processing the future information, he literally jumps from his ship all the way to Kid's ship and boom, attacks him with Divine Departure. And the interesting thing about this attack is all it destroys is Kid's gun rather than destroying Kid himself. And mostly just knocks out Kid and Killer and the rest of his crew. And if that wasn't enough, Dory and Brogy use Hakoku Sovereignty and demolish their ship, and they're just in there to drown, and Kid is eliminated. The man worth 3 billion berries is gone. Shanks is not messing around, dude. It shows how Shanks takes decisive action whenever he needs to. And it's almost like Oda was holding back this sleeping giant from us for 1079 chapters and we did not know the peak strength of Shanks. Like, I don't even know if Kaido could have done that to Kid. And I think what shows the most about Shanks' character, and I think a lot of the theories of Shanks being evil can kind of get thrown into the trash now, it shows that Shanks really loves the new generation. As right off the bat, he gives Kid one more chance and tells them to retreat. And even as he's doing that, he tells the rest of his crew crew not to underestimate them, as he's taking the new generation very seriously. And he's even worried about Kid's health here, as he asks Yasopp if Kid is fully healed from Wano. Kid basically forces his hand here, as Kid is going to use a super destructive attack and basically kill the entire Grand Fleet of the Red Hair Pirates. So Shanks really had to make a move and take Kid out here, as if you're going to point a gun at someone, you better be ready to use it. I also love the little piece of banter that Ben Beckman gives us. He's like, damn, you must have seen a really wild future to be this hyped up. You know what I'm saying? Like, Ben Beckman must have been there before, where he saw Shanks see something else wild before. You know what I'm saying? I also want to go back to what Shanks was talking about with Blackbeard. He was saying that he expected Blackbeard to show up in Wano. And this does line up with Blackbeard's MO, as Blackbeard shows up in any advantageous situation to gain some kind of overall advantage and steal something. Like at Marineford, where he stole Whitebeard's fruit. Like at Amazon Lily, where he was going in for Boa Hancock but ended up getting Kobe instead. And now we know the reason why he didn't go to Wano is because he was actually planning a trap for one of them near Pirate Island, and he ended up getting lost, sadly. And the main reason I don't think Blackbeard would want to go to Wano is because I don't think he wanted to take on Luffy, Kid, and Law all at once, even if they're at like 50%. Blackbeard only goes into situations that he knows he can win. Like, that's why he ended up backing down from Rarely, and that's why he wouldn't end up going to Wano. And this also explains why Shanks ended up showing up in Wano and protecting Luffy and his crew, because he wanted to intercept Blackbeard there. And I also think this helps out Oda, because a lot of people were giving Oda crap for kind of just shoving Shanks into that chapter for film red promotion, but it actually fits into the story now. But yeah, that's all I've got. Let me know if you guys think Kid is done for sure. I'm dropping continuous theory videos on if Kid is done for, why Blackbeard didn't show up in Wano, and a lot more. Please be on the lookout for those, and I'll talk to you guys later. Deuces.